Hello everybody, welcome to class. It's Laura. They've finally talked me into getting online. So welcome to practice. Let's see here. To orient ourselves today for practice, I'd like to remind us of a few body references that I like to use in my teaching. Some of you are familiar with them already. Some of you might not be. So just to remind ourselves that as we're moving through asanas, I might frequently make reference to the deep low belly or the pelvic focal point in the execution of our yoga poses. Orienting that to yourself on your body is halfway in between your navel and your pubic bone. Deep low belly, alignment with the sacrum on the backside of you. I might often make reference to the focal point or the center of the chest at the base of the heart. Again, so finding that place on the sternum that would align with the back of the chest, shoulder blades on the back body. And then I might also make reference to the palate or the center of the head, which is the place from side to side at the temples, through the brow, and if you are to touch the tip of your tongue to the roof of your mouth, and all of that came together, there we'd land. A couple of other things that might be useful to you for practice today are some props. Most of you know I'm a huge fan of a blanket, a block, and a strap. We may not have these props at home, so I thought what I would share with you is a couple of ideas for what some of my favorite props are at home when I don't have a yoga-specific blanket, block, or strap. It's a nice way to remember what the purpose of our props actually is for our practice as well, right? The props, the accoutrements are not the essence of the poses themselves, but tools to help us enhance the execution of the poses and the shapes our own bodies can make for their effectiveness, for their safety, or for just the enhancement of the experience in general. So a lot of the things you might have around your house can take the place of actual yoga props to that same effect. So if we're taking a look at something like a block, if you have a block or two, great. If you don't, think about what other items in your house can essentially raise the floor up, right? Some of my favorites are to use a good old drinking glass, tip it over, hand prop. Another one of my favorites is just some of these, Rubbermaid, Tupperware, Super Saver kinds of containers. Flip it over, another prop to raise the floor up to the height you might want it at. If you have a strap at home, great, you might want it for this practice. If you don't, anything resembling a belt, a necktie, a scarf works equally as well, remembering that the essence of this might be to help us bind or to lengthen the reach of our arms. And then for the blanket, if you have a yoga blanket or a cotton blanket, you could feel free to use it. What I would best recommend in lieu of a cotton or yoga blanket, if you don't have one of those, would be a bath towel. And the reason these can be nicer than other blankets we might have around the house is that they're often made of cotton. They have a little bit more traction to them under our hands and our feet, and they compress down in a safe way, similar to how a blanket we would use in the yoga studio does. So if you have any of those things, if you want to pause now and grab any of those items for yourself, please feel free to pause the video. Grab your blanket, your block, and your strap, or whatever you'd like to use in lieu of those, and then we will get ready for practice. As I set myself up with my props and you do the same thing, we're going to start on our backs so you can bring yourself into a supine position. And I would recommend arranging yourself at an angle to the video that you can comfortably see when you might want to or you might need to, but also know that you can trust your own instincts, listen to my words, and execute your yoga poses as you know how to. So as you're ready, come on down onto your backs, supine position, taking your head back, shoulders back, tailbone down, knees bent, feet flat on the floor. And we'll begin from this opening position. Arms can rest wherever they feel safe, wherever they feel supported. Take just a moment before beginning the movement through the yoga poses to just check in with the body Check in with your breath. Check in with the space of the mind and the emotions. Perhaps take a moment at the very beginning of practice to thank yourself for very intentionally carving out this time for the health of your bodies, the health of your minds, the health of your spirits, in service to yourself as well as everyone and everything else around us. One of the lessons that substituting props has for us with regards to our asanas is to remember what the essence of the practice is. To be less concerned about or caught up in the accessories, the outer shape, or the outcome. But to use any and all of the tools available to us to practice effectively, to practice safely, and with great energy. As we practice together, please give yourself permission to challenge yourself when that seems like a good idea. Likewise, give yourself permission to be compassionate when that might serve you better. Use your variations. Use your modifications as you know them or as I'm able to offer them, to let your practice today meet you exactly where you're at. And now as we begin to move, bring your attention to the shape of the spine arranged in this horizontal position. Back of the head resting squarely on the ground, a little lift under the neck. Shoulders back, ribs back. Perhaps an actual lift or an energetic lift in the low back, sacrum and tailbone down. Bring your attention to your pelvic focal point, right? That place in between the navel and the pubic bone that resides deep inside the bowl of the pelvis. And from that point in the pelvis, begin to tip your pelvis forward, taking your tailbone down into the floor while your navel rises, creating an arch in the low back area. And then reversing this, sliding your tailbone towards your heels, drawing your navel down towards the floor. And start to move around the pelvis backward, tipping motion. So we'll start with this pelvic tilting forward and backward so that you can orient yourself to the rhythm happening between your low back and your pelvis with your thigh bones. Tilt forward and backward on your own, maybe 2 or 3 more times. And then bring your pelvis into a neutral position, not too far tipped forward, not too far tucked back. And maintaining that neutral point in the pelvis, walk your feet wider than hip distance, maybe to the edges of your sticky mat if you're on one. Take your arms anywhere they feel safe and supported by your sides, and begin to sway the knees together, left and right, moving through space like a slow motion set of windshield wipers. Rolling from one side of the pelvis to the other side of the pelvis, bringing just a hint of rotation into the low back. And again, using this to orient yourself now to the rhythm between the lumbar spine and the pelvis. And again, to the movement from the pelvis to the thigh bones. And let's move like this, maybe 2 more times side to side. Make sure to balance yourself out from the left side to the right side. And the next time your legs are coming into neutral position, draw your knees in towards your chest, giving yourself a well-deserved hug, holding out behind the thighs or around the fronts of the knees. You can hold steady, you can rock side to side, you can rock forward and backward for a moment. And then as you rearrange your sacrum to the floor, shoulders back, head back, keep your right knee drawing in towards your chest, extend your left leg straight up into the air. Slowly lower the left heel down, giving it an air tap or a light tap on the floor, and then drawing the left leg back up to its starting position. Switch and draw the left knee in while you straighten the right leg, lowering it down towards the floor, raising it back up to starting position. Keep alternating like this, giving a slight squeeze of compression to the knee that's drawing into the chest. And then very purposely and very intentionally moving the straight leg through space. As we do this side to side a couple of more times, try to stabilize through the spine, the midsection, and the torso, minimizing the rocking of the low back to the pelvis, while maximizing the movement happening between the pelvis and your thigh bone right at the hip socket. One more time to side to side here. Make sure you're balancing from left to right. And when both legs are in towards the chest this next time, take both legs up into the air, making an L shape. Here, arms can come out to the sides. Arms can go overhead. You can interlace your hands, cradling your head in the palms of your hands with your elbows pointed out, whichever works best for you. Make your leg maybe not straight, but long and strong for sure. And bring both legs together or from your pelvic focal point, reach the legs out to the space in front of you with a tap or a light tap onto the floor, returning back to your starting position. Okay. Again, you can alternate legs. You can do both legs together. But minimize the motion as you stabilize from the pelvic focal point up through the base of the heart, through the palate of the mouth, and maximize where your thigh bones insert into your pelvis at your hip sockets. Soles of your feet, and you're going to stamp footprints on the ceiling rafters, along the ceiling and down the far wall in front of you. Again, if you're alternating like, balance yourself out from left side to right side. And then as you're finishing this sequence out and both legs join back, holding on behind the thighs or around the knees. And then returning both feet to the floor into a bent knee position with your arms alongside your body, fingertips pointing towards your heels. Take a moment to lengthen the side bodies and walk your heels about hips, bones distance apart, and drawing your heels in close to your glutes, bringing your shins pretty vertical. That's set up for bridge pose. So as we come into a couple of rounds of Setu Bandhasana, let's bend at the elbows today, make 90-degree angles, Mr. Roboto arms. Start to press back through the head, the shoulders, the elbows. Puff up the chest so that the space of the heart leads the way while you now raise your hips at least the height of the heart. Find your big toe mounds, your pinky toe mounds, the center dots of your heels to root down through your feet. Press back through the elbows, the triceps, shoulders, back of the head squarely into the ground. Take another breath or two to contract the back of the body to brighten and open the front body. And then releasing down, take a full cycle of breath at the bottom. Setting up for a second round, head back, shoulders back, elbows digging in. Contract the back side of your body. Raise, brighten, and broaden the front side of your body. And then releasing down, take the sacrum to the floor. Another cycle of breath here at the bottom. Third time's a charm, so we'll set up for the third time here. Head back, shoulders back. Maybe you can make some space between your shoulder blades and the floor physically. Maybe it's energetically for you. But find all the points of contact you're making with the ground right now, and with a very high quality, firm connection, root down through those points of contact to raise up from the back of your body, brightening through and into the front side of your body. Take a couple breaths along the lines running from your ankles to your knees, knees to your hips, hips through your ribs, ribs down to the armpits. And then releasing to the floor, arranging the spine into neutral position again. Take your left ankle and let's cross it over, making a four shape. We'll use this figure four shape idea a couple of times today. So left knee, folding the figure four as much as you can, keeping your hip points level. Draw the unit of the leg up and in, holding on behind the stabilizing leg with your hands or a strap. Shoulders back, head back. Take a few breaths here, keeping the spine in neutral position as much as you're able to, folding and hinging at the thigh creases. As you hold your position, bring your right knee more into alignment with your right shoulder than to your nose. Using the right leg as a base leg against which you can create some resistance with the left leg. Right? Keep encouraging the left knee to move away from your face by lengthening from your pelvic focal point out the inner line of your left thigh through your inner knee, and by slightly contracting from your left outer knee down the outer line of the leg through the left glute into the pelvic focal point from the backside. And then keeping your figure four position, release the legs to the floor. Again, place the arms anywhere they feel supported, comfortable, and twist the left foot down to the ground, putting your left foot on the floor, toes or full foot directly to the floor or on a prop, and then spin your torso in the opposite direction. As you extend your left arm more out to the side, make open facing diagonal lines through the line of the torso, moving your left inner knee and your left armpit in opposite directions away from each other. And then bringing your legs back up to starting position, unwind the legs, realign the spine if it's scooted around on you at all during any of that, and get ready to switch sides. We'll take right ankle over left knee. Start by moving your right knee away from your face, unfolding the figure four shape on the second side, keeping your hip points fairly level at your midsection. Around the pelvic focal point itself, draw the legs up and in. Again, give the bottom more towards the armpit than towards the nose. Bit of resistance. It becomes part of the foundation for the top leg, making the figure four shape here. Tailbone down, shoulders down, head back. Remember, you're not going to tailbone lift up and round, but you're also minimizing the hip stretch, giving yourself more of a low back stretch instead. So at this stage of the game, we'd like to focus more on the hips, so keep your tailbone and your sacrum flush to the floor as much as you're able to for a couple more breaths here. And releasing your legs down to the floor. Right arm out to the side like a wing, left arm wherever it's comfortable. Twist away from the right hand, placing the foot directly on the floor, heels, toes, or with a prop in between. Make the same open facing diagonal line through the torso, this time running in the opposite direction from the right inner knee through and back to the right armpit reaching to the floor. And then bring everything back up to center. Unwind the legs, realign the spine again here. And one more time, draw your knees in towards your chest, rocking from side to side, front to back. We're going to start making our way up towards a standing position. So as you're ready, rock forward over your feet, or you can rock sideways to come on up to all fours. As you arrive in your all fours position, take the hands shoulder distance or slightly wider apart. Knees, hips distance or slightly apart or wide. Toes tucked or toes pointed back, a stylistic element you can choose for yourself. Now lift the tailbone up, move your heart through the upper arm bones, lift the head, take a couple of breaths here into a cow pose position, spine looking like the foot of a rocking chair. And then reverse this. Draw the front of your body in towards the back of your body. Stretch your shirt across your spine as you reach your spine towards the ceiling. Send your gaze to the space between the legs. Come on back to a neutral position. Now walk your hands a little farther forward. Walk your knees and toes a little farther backwards. Tuck your toes under. Downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Take a couple of breaths here to settle yourself into place and into space. First, by finding the foundation, all the points of contact your body's making with the floor. Right? So from the index finger mounds, the thumb mounds, pinky finger mounds and heels of the hands, all of your finger pads and your thumb pads. Draw energy up from the palms of your hands through the length of your arms, through the armpits into the base of the heart. And from the base of your heart, lengthen out and press down through the palms of the hands and the fingers and thumb pads. From the base of your heart, reach your tailbone to where the ceiling and wall meet behind you, your thigh bones towards the wall behind you. Open up the backs of the knees, reach down around the skin of the heels to the heel dots, whether they touch or not, to the big toe mounds and the pinky toe mounds and all the space in between. And then keeping these nice high quality points of connection, slide forward into a plank position, bringing your face out in front of your hands. Lowering your knees to the floor, keep your hands and feet where they're at, tuck toes, child's pose. Slide forward, face in front of your hands. Pike from the deep low belly, Adho Mukha Svanasana, and start to alternate between these two endpoints at your own pace. Right? As you move to the rhythm of the inflows and outflows of your breath, find that balanced effort between smooth, strong, hugging your skin onto your muscles onto your bones, so that you move with control from the pelvic focal point, from the base of the heart, from the center of the head. And then from those focal points, from that space in the center of the torso, radiate out. Start to take up space. Do a few more rounds as you bring movement into the joints. Get blood moving. Get breath flowing. Next time you're in a downward facing dog here. Stay in your down dog for a moment. Hold steady. Pedal your heels, wiggle your hips, wiggle your lips, whatever you need to do here. And then as you're ready, bend your knees, hinge at the thigh creases, walk your hands back towards your feet. As you come back into your forward fold Uttanasana, balance the weight of your body from your toe tops, toe tips to your heel dots. Slightly contract the fronts of the feet, the fronts of the shins. Like you're slightly drawing your kneecaps up towards your hips. Contract the fronts of your thighs. Press your sacrum to the ceiling. And from there, let your spine cascade down. The crown of the head drip down. Hands can be placed on your shins, your feet, the floor, wherever they're blessed to reach here today. And now as we take a few more breaths, activate just a little bit more as you push down through the soles of the feet, press the sacrum to the ceiling, and then actively draw your navel to your kneecaps, your chin to your shins, the crown of the head towards the floor beyond your feet. Staying in your folded position, bring your hands onto your hips, push from your hips down into your heels. Inhale to raise yourself up to standing. Let your arms come to your sides, head above heart, heart above everything else. Take a few breaths here in Tadasana. All right. And then we're going to come into some of our standing poses. You know, this video thing's kind of funny because, you know, we can't really joke about how hot it is or how cold it is together or what our space or what any of our kind of timeline is. Because right now, the temperature of the room where I'm at least, is pretty ambient. So we'll joke where we can. I bet you I can think of some things. So as you come standing tall into Tadasana, I'm going to face you as much as able. Bring your legs together like you just have one leg. Big toe mounds, inner heels, outer toe mounds, heel dots, right? Legs as close as you can bring them. From your heart, anchor down into your right big toe mound, and from your right big toe mound, connect back up into the space of the heart as you turn your left leg out, Vrikshasana. As you find that midline, bring your foot to your ankle, to your calf, or to your thigh. Not a casual connection, effortful. Push your foot and your leg together enough that you feel the pelvic floor lift and you anchor in to the pelvic focal point. From your pelvic focal point, hit down through your standing leg. From your pelvic focal point, reach your left inner knee, the raised inner knee out like that figure 4 shape. Lengthen from the pelvic focal point out the bent knee, and from the outer edge, draw back into that glute, into the pelvic focal point on the back side of your body. From there, heart up, head high, hands to wherever it's going to serve you best. When you arrive in place and space for yourself, take 3 or 4 more breaths. And then releasing your leg first, releasing your arms down. Come on back to Tadasana. Legs together, making one leg as much as you're able, starting with the thighs down into the feet. And then arrange for the second side from your heart down into your left big toe mound. Left big toe mound back up into your heart. Turn the right leg out. When you're ready, place the foot somewhere along the inner line of the leg. And for as much as your lifted leg pushes in, the straight leg replies, right? Remember that all of our balancing poses first are about the standing leg. Use that connection and that rootedness down into the ground to rise up through the pelvis, through the heart, through the head. As you push down through the standing leg, lengthen out through the inner line of the raised leg. Draw slight contractive energy from the outer line of the raised leg up to the glute. Make everything connect at the pelvic focal point. Stack from there. Wherever you choose to place your hands on the second side, take them out there. A few more breaths. I'll say 2, 3, or 4 more breaths. Really, that just might mean like short, middle, long, very long. We might get really worried if I ever say 12 breaths someday. I won't do that to you today, maybe. The good news is if you stop before I hit 12 breaths, I'll never know the difference. And then when you're ready, release the leg. Release the arms. Come on back down to Tadasana. All right. I'm going to put my blanket into place for some kneeling work as we get there. If you'd like to do that, you can as well. Take care of our early prop preparation, and then standing wide, we're going to start with side angle. So taking a wide position, feet about wrist distance, palm distance apart if you're standing with your arms out like a capital letter T. And from that wide distance, turn. I'm going to say right leg out, toes follow, left leg in, toes follow. Aim the hips, aim the heart, aim everything else towards me. Yep. As you group round down through the big toe mounds, the pinky toe mounds, the heel dots, from the pelvis, widen through your back leg as you bend into the front leg. Starting power position is knee over ankle, shin vertical. So widen your stance or narrow your stance from there as appropriate from you. Now from the soles of your feet, draw energy along the inner lines of your legs from your ankles to your knees, knees through the upper inner thighs into the core of the pelvis. And from the core of the pelvis, lengthen out through the legs. Tack a little bit more through the pinky toe edge of the back foot. Reach the front inner knee away and tack a little bit more through the big toe edge of the front foot. Spine tall, head high from there. Continue to hold your shape while you extend your arms out to the side and give a lean towards the front leg. Reach through the ribs. Reach through the ribs to set the right hand on the floor, maybe on your block, maybe on any other piece of equipment. As from the pelvis, continue to reach out through the inner line of the front leg. Continue to reach back and hit down through the fullness of the back foot. And from the deep low belly, start to rotate the ribs through. Open up and broaden through the collarbones. And as you push down through the hand on the floor or your block, shoot that energy up through the raised hand to the ceiling. Reach your tailbone towards your back heel. Reach your head towards the wall. Open up through the heart. And take 3 more breaths. 1, 2, 3. Push down through your back leg. Pull yourself up. If you're using a block or a prop, bring it over with you as we come back through center. As we switch sides, new front leg. Turn the thigh out, toes follow. Back leg, turn the thigh in as much as you're able, toes follow. Find your points of connection onto the ground. Bend the front knee away. Recalibrate, reset your power position here on your front leg. Open up from hip point to hip point. So in all of our standing poses, remember pelvic focal point. From the soles of the feet, draw up and in. From the pelvic focal point, push out a little bit more through the pinky toe edge of the back foot. Keep the back leg wide. Run down the inner line of the front leg, hitting down more through the big toe mount. Reach, come on down, touch the floor directly or through your block or prop. As you create your shape, keep your attention coming back into the pelvic focal point. Lengthen, push down and away through the back leg. Keep the front inner knee reaching away from you towards the wall. And then spin through the deep low belly, spin through the ribs, the chest, the collarbones. For 3, 2, and 1. Push down through your back leg. Pull yourself back up to standing. Step both feet together for just a moment and give yourself just a bit of a rest. I'm going to grab my block here. Realized I said block on that first one. Didn't have it available for demo, but I know you guys know what we're doing. Reset wide when you're ready. Let's come into standing straddle. This time, both sets of feet facing forward. But again, find the inner edges, find the outer edges. Stack your hips over your knees and your knees over your ankles. Start to roll your thighs slightly in towards each other. And as you draw your deep low belly up and in, press your sacrum to the ceiling. Come on down. Take your hands to the floor, in front of you, behind you. And as you arrive here, again, balance the weight of your body from your heel dots to your toe tips. Find your big toe mounds, pinky toe mounds, heel dots. Draw from the arches of your feet to your inner ankles. Lift up from your inner ankles to your inner knees through your upper inner thighs, all the way into your deep low belly. And then from the deep low belly, broaden across the back rim of your pelvis. From the back rim of your pelvis and your outer hips, reach down through your outer knees. From your outer knees to your outer ankles, to the pinky toe edges of your feet. Take a few more breaths here as you draw your navel towards your kneecaps. Chin to the space between your shins. Crown of the head still reaching towards the floor beneath you. And then bring yourself up halfway, coming to fingertips, half lift out of position. Bend into the knees and walk yourself over to your right. Come on into a lunge, one hand framing either side of the front foot. As you set yourself into position, make your front foot flat, front shin vertical. And now we're going to make a little bit of an adjustment in our stance. So with your front knee, reach your inner knee as far forward as you can without losing your heel connection. You might have to step in with the back foot to do that. Keep the front foot flat, heel hitting down, inner knee reaching forward. Now from there, drop the back knee, shoelaces down, push down through the shoelaces to lighten the load in the back knee. Push down through the back foot, the back knee, and the front heel, come on upright. From all your points of connection, scissors your legs together, front to back, side to side, from the soles of your feet pulling up into your pelvic focal point. And from the pelvic focal point, stack the head up, heart high. Push through the back leg, reach through the front inner knee forward. Hands can come to hips, heart, to the sides, overhead. Take a few more breaths here in Anjaneyasana. And then bow forward, hands come down and frame the forward foot. Tuck the back toes, lift up the back knee, and kind of slither yourself through to the second side. Pivot on the toes, pivot on the heels. Take your time making your transition to lunge to the second side. A new front leg, a new back leg. One hand on either side of the front foot. Start by reaching the front knee forward as far as you can. Work a nice ankle dorsiflexion, right? Make those big ankle wrinkles. And then from there, reach the back knee down, shoelaces down. Push down through all the points of contact, squeeze your legs together, and build your spine up from here, from your pelvic focal point. Push down and back through the leg behind you. Reach forward through the front inner knee. Lift up through the belly, the heart, and the head. And again, choose where you'd like your arms to go on this second side. And we'll take a few more breaths here. And then bow forward, hands frame the forward foot. Tuck the back toes, pick up the knee. Come on all the way back to center. Push down through your legs to return to standing. All right, step your feet together. Give the legs a little bit of a rest. And we're going to come into triangle pose, some Ardha Chandrasana prep. So you might want your block handy for this one. All right. As you reset your stance again, feet nice and wide. Probably wider than you think they should be for triangle. Front leg out, toes follow. Back leg in, toes follow. Hips, heart and head aimed as far forward as you're able to. Now make a sassy back hip. Move your tailbone towards your back foot. Reach through the ribs as you come on down. Place your hand on your block or directly onto the floor to make the third point of contact. Try to drop this bottom arm down straight so you get a better line of trajectory from the shoulder down through your third point. Find your big toe mounds, pinky toe mounds, and heel dots. As you do, rotate open. Hand to the hip, or out to the side. All right, I'm learning that my hair is getting long enough now that I'm going to need to start collecting some hair ties. I can't see y'all, but you look amazing. I know you look amazing. Take a couple more breaths. You're going to stay here for a few more breaths while I come out. Couple of things to think about in this pose. Give a little bit more attention to the big toe mound of the front foot. A little bit more attention towards the pinky toe edge of the back foot. That's just a balancing energy. So now take a couple more breaths from the arches of your feet to the inner knees through the upper inner thighs to the pelvic focal point. From your pelvic focal point, hit down through both legs and heel dots. Make your legs 6 inches longer than they walked in the door today. Tailbone away, head away. Long spine, and then rotate last 2 breaths more through the ribs, more through the collarbones, wingspan wide. Bring your block with you if you're using one. Come on back up to standing, and we'll switch sides. Come on through center. New front leg turning out, toes follow. New back leg turning in as much as it can, toes follow. When you're ready, again, find those points of connection between you and the ground. Strong legs. Tip your tailbone towards your back heel. Reach through the underside. Reach through the ribs. Reach through the armpit so that you have more of a straight spine than a rainbow spine. As you move your tailbone to the back heel, as you move your head beyond your front big toe, rotate through the ribs, the chest, the collarbones. Now, just like you hit down through the big toe, pinky toe, and heel dot, push down through the hand, the index finger, or the index finger mound, and use the push from the bottom arm to lengthen up through the heart and shoot it out through the top arm. Take a couple more breaths here while I come out of position. I just find it easier to talk out of position than in position while you take a few more breaths and enjoy your pose. So feel yourself strong here. Standing poses develop strength, develop stamina, right? But without getting rigid. So use your muscles in the lower leg compartments, the upper leg compartments to hug onto your bones. And remember, we describe it as such. It's a hug, not a death grip. Keep a little bit of movement through the hips. Check in with your breath as it moves into and out of you 2 more times. And then push down through your back leg. Bring your block with you. If you're using one, come on back up to standing. Last time in this standing sequence, switch sides again. All right. As you set yourself up, tap down through the back leg, bend into the front knee, hand to the floor or the block like we did for side angle. Our adjustment this time, step halfway in. If you got a blanket, be careful. Take your hand out farther, catty corner to the pinky toe. From here, open up. Remember your triangle position. And we're just going to do the initial practice entrances and exits to Ardha Chandrasana. So, hand, part of your foundation. Foot, part of your foundation. Draw everything in from the heart to the deep low belly and connect the two in between. Raise up slowly, lower back down. Do that 3 more times with the goal of moving your center of gravity, moving your center of mass, moving your pelvic focal point smoothly, confidently, and calmly through space. 1 more time, raising up. Again, remember the goal, right? Execute the asanas to the best of your ability for movement patterns, health and wellness. When you get to the bottom, come on back up to standing. Set up the second side. Like you're headed into side angle. Make contact, back foot halfway in. Hand farther forward for support. When you're ready, connect into the pelvic focal point from your feet into the belly, from the belly back out, push up, lift, raise. Smooth descent. Right? Practice entering and exiting with skill. I don't think there's a whole lot of times in life you're, asked to hold or whip into Ardha Chandrasana, at the grocery store or at the bank. But these asanas are just designed to help give us skills that we can apply and that we can transfer. 1 more time, lift and lower. And then when your back foot makes contact, come on up to standing. All right, let's give the legs a little bit of a break and come on down to the floor. So I'm going to keep the blanket here. You might want to keep some of your knee pad here as well for where we're headed into a next few variations of Vashisthasana or side planks. So what we'd like to start doing is tying some of these movement patterns together. Some of this expansiveness that triangle gets us, some of this movement from the pelvic focal point. So keeping a few of those elements in mind, have your blanket and maybe have whatever you're going to have for a strap handy. That'll be our preparation for the next few poses. Once you've got that ready to go, come and join us in downward facing dog. So if you have your blanket, you will be straddling your blanket with your downward facing dog position. From your downward facing dog, slide halfway forward into that awkward place between plank and down dog. Bring your right knee to the floor. Turn it out like a kickstand. Keep the toes tucked under for more stability, but that's up to you in terms of where your feet go. And then open up kneeling Vashi. So you've got a long foot, a long leg with a foot attached, a knee, another foot, and a hand as a part of your foundation. Find all of the toe pads, finger pads, thumb pads down from those points, and then start to rotate open. Top hip over bottom hip, top shoulder over bottom shoulder. From the hand that's hitting down, imagine there's a beach ball under your armpit. Inflate the beach ball to find buoyancy as you push the earth away. And from there, perhaps raise the second arm up into the air. Neck and head, a natural extension of the rest of the spine. Find that alignment of the head focal point, the heart focal point, pelvic focal point, even here. And then we're going to use the transitions from side to side and pose to pose as a part of our core work today. So before moving, bring your attention to your pelvic focal point, right? And as we move, try to move in this way. Push your top foot, bottom foot, and lift up the knee. From the gut, pivot back around to downward facing dog. That lift of the knee first does a couple things for us. It helps us train the core. And then it also keeps our knees a little bit safer from grinding down and around on it. So second side, slide forward. Bring the left knee. Start to turn immediately before the kneecap touches. Toes tucked under, toes pointed back. Open up to your second side. Make sure that the finger pads and thumb pads, the palm of the hand, are all doing a fair and appropriate amount of work to distribute the weight of your upper body into the ground. Bottom knee, both feet. Bring your attention to the pelvic focal point to line it up with the space of the heart, the space of the head. Reach your tailbone all the way out towards the far heel of the long leg. Reach your head beyond the hand that's touching the floor. Take a few breaths up and down the length of the spine again, from the tip of the tail to the top of the head. And from the spine, radiate out through into the muscles, the other soft tissues, your skin, the space around you. And then before moving, bring your attention to your pelvic focal point. Push down through the parts of connection, the hands and the feet on the floor. Pick up the left knee. Simultaneously, hips up, hand down, downward facing dog. We'll do that starting sequence again and then add on. So come on forward, right knee down. Turn the toes out like a kickstand or point them back. Open up to stack, top shoulder over bottom. Top hip over bottom. Align from tailbone to heart, heart to head. Arm can go up, arm can go overhead. Use top arm as a little bit of bling, a little bit of expression for yourself today. And then from the pelvic focal point, contract the outer top hip, lift up, kneeling Ardha Chandrasana. So they've got some relationships here to our triangle pose and to our standing Ardha Chandrasana efforts. From the pelvic focal point, reach the bottom inner knee down and away. Reach the top inner knee out and away. Open up the spread and maximize the spread from hip point to hip point as you push down and out through both legs, like you're trying to make them 6 inches longer. And then releasing the top leg, lower down, hips up and hand down at the same speed. Unwind back, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Second side as you're ready. Slide forward, left knee to the floor. Turn the foot out like a kickstand. Open up second side. Again, set everything up how we know. And then as you feel steady and as you feel ready, top leg lifts, kneeling Ardha Chandrasana. Right. From the soles of your feet, draw up into the pelvic focal point. Remember your legs, they come all the way up into this deep low belly. And then from the deep low belly, push out. Radiate out, stretch out, breathe, feel, expand your pose in any direction you can find right now. Top to bottom, front to back, side to side. 2 more breaths. And then releasing the top leg simultaneously, please hips up, hand down, step back, downward facing dog. Lower your knees to the floor, coming through an all fours position. Slide off to one side, have your strap handy as we come onto our backs. So we're gonna head to our back and do a couple positions, supine, that replicate what we just did standing. And then after we're done with those poses, we're gonna come back upright. So we're going down, but don't get too comfortable yet. We're getting back up. Some of you know the drill. Lower yourself down, head back, shoulders back, tailbone down, bent knee position. Take both legs out long. Supta Tadasana, make them active as though you were standing on them. From the pelvis, push out through the soles of the feet. From the pelvis, align the spine, shoulders back, head back. Keep your right leg lengthening from the pelvis out through the sole of the foot, like you're pushing it into the far wall away from you, or as though you were standing up, pushing it down into the floor. Bend your left leg up and in. First, just start by drawing the knee in towards your chest. Bringing the knee a little bit more into alignment with the armpit than the nose. Take a few breaths here. From the pelvic focal point, reach your down through the right inner thigh, the right inner knee, the right inner ankle out through the sole of the foot, while you draw your left inner knee towards your left earlobe. Take a few more breaths here, maximizing the distance from your right inner knee to your left inner knee. And then keeping your leg bent in, reach for your strap that's nearby, and a couple of options: hold your foot with your hand or take your strap over your heel, and slowly start to straighten the raised leg up towards the ceiling. Remember that hip opening, a little bit more the name of the game here than whether the knee goes straight or not, but use your strap as an extension of your arm, or your scarf, your bandana, whatever beautiful item you've decided to use to make your arms a little longer today. And as you come into Supta Hasta Padangustasana, both legs active in the pose. From the arches of the feet, draw up into your pelvic focal point, please. And from the pelvis, lengthen out actively through the legs. Neither one gets a break here. They each have their own job to do. They're just elongating out in different directions. Use your strap or your hand to provide some contractive resistance in towards the midline of your body. And then from the pelvis, create some expansive energy from the bones back out through the muscles, through the skin. Take a few more breaths here. If you are using a strap or a tool, try to keep your arms long, straighter, shoulders back, instead of creating a bicep curl action. Let the arm relax and do only the work that's necessary. Now, as we transition, keep the head back, shoulders back, tailbone down. Keep right leg, which is the equivalent of your base leg or your back leg, as you now bend your left knee in, make an upside down lunge, and open your left knee to the side, making an upside down side angle or Parsva Konasana. Before rushing to straighten the leg, see if you can pause here in its bent knee position. From your pelvis, lengthen out through the inner line of the right leg. From your pelvis, lengthen the left inner thigh out the left inner knee. Use your strap from your resistance to now broaden hip point while you take your ribs, your right shoulder blade, your right armpit, tack it down into the floor and extend the right arm out to the side. Now your shoulder girdle becomes a part of your foundation here as well as your hips. Millimeter by millimeter, slowly and sweetly start to straighten the left knee into the resistance of your strap or your hand. Go for broadening from hip point to hip point, distancing from right inner knee to left inner knee, from right inner ankle to left inner ankle. And then if the left leg goes straight, great. If it doesn't, that's okay. Maximize the distance of the other points of connectedness first. And as you take a few more breaths here, lengthen out from your left inner ankle across the broad side of your body to your right armpit. Slowly bending the knee in. Return the left leg to its starting center position. Unhand, unstrap. Left leg, bring it down to meet your right leg partner. Give it just a moment to pause there in between the sides. And then as you're ready, lengthen out through the legs, set them up again, Supta Tadasana, active legs, long and strong. Keep the left leg strong and active like a standing leg into the wall. Bend the right knee in, hold on behind the knee or around the knee. Draw the right inner knee towards your right earlobe. Take these first few breaths on the second side to maximize the distance from your right inner knee to your left inner knee, pushing out strong, active, and engaged through the left foot. Shoulders back, head back. Take a few breaths here. And then as we add on from here, add your hand or your strap to the second foot. Right. Holding on around the heel if you've got some strap or some pressure to the best that you're able. Start to just open the knee up. And then take your right knee out to the side into a laying down side angle pose. So if you remember your basic principles of alignment from side angle when we were standing, we just kind of have to pretend the floor is under our feet right now. Push out through the big toe mounds, the pinky toe mounds, the heel dots. Along the inner lines of the legs, draw up into the core of the pelvis, and from the core of the pelvis, push down through your left leg, which is now your standing back leg. Lengthen out through your right inner knee, opening up that figure four shape, which is your lifted leg, your bent knee, your front leg in the pose. Spin the ribs away from the bent knee. Open up and broaden through the lines of the collarbones. Take your left arm out to the side, tack the shoulder blade down, the armpit down, make it a part of your foundation. And now from your left armpit, lengthen and broaden along the front line of your body as you push into the resistance your hand or your strap is giving you on the right side. As you put your right leg into place in space, hold the right leg there and figure out all the other ways in your body that you can open, expand, and make your pose bigger and brighter for yourself. From the pelvis, lengthen along the inner lines of the knees and move your left inner knee and your right inner knee away from each other. Your left inner ankle, your right inner ankle. As you reach your right inner ankle away from you, spin your left hip point and broaden through the deep low belly. From your right inner ankle, lengthen diagonally through the body to the left armpit and broaden more through the left collarbone. Take another breath or two here to kind of imprint and carry with you the expansion, the expressiveness of these open-facing poses as now we start to draw in and carry that with us to make our way back up towards standing. First, just take a moment to lengthen right leg out to left leg partner. Give a moment of rest here at the bottom. And then as you're ready, draw your knees in towards your chest. Rock to one side or the other. Let's meet in an all fours position. And that kneeling Vashisthasa and kneeling Ardha Chandrasana, they were so good the first time. Let's do them again. Why not? So from your all fours position, tuck your toes under, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Right. We'll all meet here. And then as you're ready, slide forward to that awkward space between down dog and plank. Start with your left knee, drop it down, turn the toes out like a kickstand. Open up, stack top shoulder over bottom shoulder, top hip over bottom hip. Roll yourself open. As you come into the center line of your body, radiate everything else away. Instead of letting yourself get heavy onto the floor, push the earth away. Say, nope, ground, I'm not quite ready for you yet. And then breathe, fill into the back of your body as much as you brighten and expand out through the front of your body. You might see that reflected through the palm of your hand as well as the back of your hand in equal measure. Bring your attention to your deep low belly, please. As you raise your hips to bring your hands down, make and try to take that slow motion transition to pull yourself up to standing at least as much as you push yourself. Slide forward, second side. Knee comes down, turn it out like a kickstand. Open up, kneeling Vashisthasana. As we prepare to transition, remember all of your complementary contrasts, right? Just as if we have up and down, front and back, contractive and expansive. As you come out of your pose, pull yourself into downward facing dog at least as much as you push yourself. Let's arrive and meet there together. Second side, kneeling Ardha Chandrasana, lower down. Drop the knee, turn it out like a kickstand. Come through kneeling Vashisthasana. Take your choice to stay right here. Or from the deep low belly, lift the top leg long and strong, push out. So remember how you had your strap on your foot a moment ago around the heel and you were pulling in, creating resistant energy from the sole of the foot up into the belly? Do that same thing here, but do it of your own accord. From the heel, pull into the belly, and from the belly, push out. Make the leg long, strong, and maybe straight. 2 more breaths. Release the leg, lower the hand, lift the hips and the knee, pull up, Adho Mukha Svanasana. And second side, come on down. Turn the bottom leg out, open yourself up, come into your kneeling side plank position. Find that pelvic focal point, and as you pull into it, create a nuclear power pack of energy in the deep low belly. And then from that energy, press out through the raised leg, press out through the base leg, send it up into the heart, open the chest, open the arms, push down away from the earth, expand, and create your own unique expression of your pose for 3 more breaths. And then slowly release the leg, the arm, turn down, come on up, downward facing dog. And then bend your knees, hinge your hips, walk your hands back towards your feet, come into Uttanasana. As you come into your forward folded position, take a few breaths here in a symmetric position to again draw your navel to your kneecaps, chin towards your shins, crown of the head towards the floor. Keeping your forward folded position, bring your hands back up onto your hips. Push from your hips down into your heels and inhale yourself up to standing. Come on up into Tadasana. Take a breath, 2 or 3 here for your head above your heart above everything else. And as I'm going to do to rearrange your clothes and fix your glasses. Most of you know I can't stand practicing with my glasses. Bless all of you that do it on a regular basis. I have no idea where I am in space when my glasses are bopping around on my head all over the place with this up and down motion. So do what you need to do to pull yourself back into order. And then as you're ready, have your block. We're going to go through our standing sequence one more time. We've gotten a good rough draft of each of these poses already. So we'll do them each for about 5 or 6 breaths, just as an opportunity to review them, to retry them, to perhaps refresh them now that we've gotten some other preparation and warm-up done. So take your feet wide, at least a good palm's distance apart. Front leg out, toes follow. Back leg in, toes follow as much as they're able. Coming into side angle, Parsva Konasana. Tap down through the back leg, bend the front knee away. Start with power position of knee over ankle. As you tip your tailbone to your back foot, reach through the ribs, down through the armpit, place your hand directly on the floor or through your block. Find that extra point of contact now to spin open through the navel, open through the heart. Open from the bottom hand to the top hand to the ceiling, or maybe turn the left bicep, the whole arm bone, flank the arm overhead and take 3 more breaths from your back pinky toe to your lifted pinky finger. Bring the top arm back up, circle it down. Bring your block with you if you're using it. Come on up to standing, both sets of feet forward. Switch to the second side. New front leg, turn it out, toes follow. New back leg, turn it in, toes follow. Bend into the front knee. As you spread across the belly, as you lengthen down through the inner lines and the outer lines, tack through the pinky toe edge of the back foot, reach forward through the front inner knee and the big toe mound. Lean, reach. Place the hand on your block or the floor for that extra contact. Open up to your second side. I'm not going to over cue. Well, I probably will because I usually do. But maximize the distance from your right inner knee to your left inner knee. You know, I say things and then I say them out loud and then I realize, nope, that's not what I meant at all. I'm probably going to totally over cue. Spin your right bicep. Spin your right arm bone. Flank it overhead. 3 more breaths from your right pinky toe to your right pinky finger. Circle your top arm back around to starting position. Come on back up. Turn both sets of toes forward. Prasarita Padottanasana. Standing straddle. Feet parallel. They might be turned in a little bit, but definitely not turned out, right? So remember our alignment. Start to spin your thigh bones thigh muscles towards each other, groins in, sacrum up. Not necessarily flaring your sitting bones, but sacrum up. So pull your deep low belly in as you hinge, and then elongate your spine, and then let the upper back round. Let the nape of the neck open, crown of the head drip down. As you take a few breaths here from the arches of your feet, stay here. I'm going to come out of the pose on the video, but you're going to stay where you're at, just again so I can describe a few things that are easier while not in the pose. Bring your energy and your attention to the arches of your feet. From the arches of your feet, draw up along the inner lines of the legs to the knees. Knees to the upper inner thighs. Upper inner thighs through your pelvic floor into your deep low belly. And then from that little nugget in the deep low belly, send it to your sacrum on the back of your body. And from the back side, broaden the back rim of your pelvis to your outer hips. From your outer hips, reach and lengthen to your outer knees to outer ankles. And now imagine and create these circular lines of energy along the length of your legs from the soles of your feet into your pelvic focal point. Take a few more breaths here. And then come on out, halfway lift. Let's walk yourself over to one side. Set up in a lunging position, one hand on either side of the front foot. Start with the front knee. Reach it as far forward as you can, big ankle wrinkles. Drop the knee down, set up for low lunge, Anjaneyasana. Put your shoelaces down and push down to lighten the load in the back knee. Scissors your legs together front to back, side to side, so your pelvis becomes buoyant like a runner at the start of a race. Come on up. Once you've got your energy pooling in, reach out through the left inner knee, heart up, head high. Again, wherever you'd like your arms to go. 3 more breaths. Bow forward, hands frame the forward foot. Come on out of position, tuck the back toes to raise the back knee. Slither yourself from one side to the other. And we'll set up on the second side lunge, high lunge starting point facing the second side. Reach through the front knee, keep the heel tacked down. We want to work on this range of motion in the ankle, but not to the safety of anything else in the body. So tack down, then drop the knee, then the shoelaces. Push down through your points of contact. Pull up from the pelvic focal point and raise yourself up. Heart up, head high. Choose your hand position. And then bow forward, hands frame the forward foot, tuck the back toes. Pivot yourself forward to your center position. Toes facing forward, hands to your hips. Push and pull yourself up to standing. Bring your legs together. Give yourself just a rest. All right. Block handy, triangle pose, and then complete Ardha Chandrasana on deck. So when we were lying down in Supta, all that open work with our strap on the floor, we were creating similar shapes. So we're going to keep in mind our first attempts of triangle, Ardha Chandrasana prep, and our floor work while we come into trying these poses again on the second side. So for triangle pose, legs out, nice wide stance. Front foot turns out, toes follow. Back foot turns in. Now push your feet into the floor just as you did holding a strap or into the air floor earlier, right? Hips broad, hip points broad, belly broad. As you tip your tailbone to your back leg, come on down. We have a similar shape, hand touching the floor directly or onto your block. As you come into triangle pose, you stay right here in position. Give the contractive energy and the expansive energy the same attention that you did when you were holding your strap here on the floor a moment ago. So from the soles of your feet, draw into your pelvis. From your pelvis, push out through your legs, make them 6 inches longer at least than they walked in the door. Second go around for 2 more breaths. Chest open, neck and head long. Bring your block with you if you're using it. Come on up second side. Pivot the legs. Set up big toe mounts, pinky toe mounts, heel dots. Right. As you tip your tailbone, Lengthen the side body nice and long. So the human body does not make straight lines, but we can recreate the felt experience of a fairly straight line on the inside. Tailbone to the back heel, head to the wall. And feel the S shape, the neutral alignment of your spine from your tailbone curving to your low back into the ribs, ribs into the neck. Neck and head, a natural extension of everything else here. And then from the center of the spine, push out through the legs, radiate out through the arms. Make your wingspan wide from tip to tip. And then from your back leg, push down so much, bring your block with you. Come on up to standing. Second side, Ardha Chandrasana. Here's where we go for it. As you set your block, legs wide. Let's go from a start in side angle entrance. Right? Bent knee so that we can activate some good muscular energy. Open the hips. Step in halfway. Hand farther. There's options and stylistic elements where you can float this top hand. Great. For today, I'm going to encourage you to make contact somehow with the ground so that you can use that additional foundation to work the triangle aspects, to work the hip opening aspects, to work the expansive quality from your base big toe to your lifted big toe, moving away from each other, more than having to worry about the balance challenge any more than you need to. So as you come into position from your navel, from your deep low belly, you have a top hip and a bottom hip. Maximize the distance from hip point to hip point. Maximize the distance from top upper inner thigh to bottom upper inner thigh. Top inner knee to bottom inner knee. Top inner ankle to bottom inner ankle. Maybe sing a song, try to talk while you're doing it. And realize you're going to fall down at some point. Maybe it's not today, though. 3 more breaths. Soften into the standing leg. Make contact with the earth with back foot. Come on up to standing, however it feels best to you. All right. Hearing no crashing or cursing. Isn't this great in video? Like, I really can't hear it. You might have crashed. Hopefully you're okay. You might have cursed at me. I can't hear it. Sounds good. Let's do the second side. Come on down when you're ready. Set up like you're going into side angle. As you lower down and make your points of contact, back foot steps in. Front hand gives you a little bit more support out in front. Work the hip opening aspect as much as you can first. So tilt your pelvis sideways. Don't lose the essence of side angle. That's less work you have to do when you get up then. And from your deep low belly, keep the hip opening. Lift your top hip point away from your bottom hip point. This is air triangle. Both legs are working vigorously. They're just working in 2 different directions, right? Remember that laying down floor work. Replicate it here with a long neutral spine. Hit down and out through both legs. Open now. Your right, maybe your top inner knee, away from your bottom armpit. Take a couple more breaths. And when you feel complete, stay in control. Bend the front knee. Bottom foot comes down. Raise yourself up to standing, however it best works for you. All right. We're now going to take it down to the floor, riding that second wave. And you can take solace in the fact that we're not getting up again. So as you come on down, if you want to keep your blanket to sit on it, if you don't want it anymore, set it aside. We're going to start with a little bit of twisting. We'll do a little bit of floor work, and then we're going to end with a little sitting before Shavasana. So from your sitting position, take your feet out in front of you. And let's take both legs over to one side. Whichever side you want to do, start with, great. We'll do them both. Hips will tilt a little bit. Top leg over foot of bottom leg. Lift up nice and tall. And then from the deep low belly, twist or just rotate away from your feet. Just a nice, easy, open facing twist as you walk your chest in the opposite direction of your feet. Nice, easy rotation through the neck, the head, the face. Taking a few more breaths here as we start to come down to the floor. These can be nice poses to, again, just maybe enjoy softening your gaze. We have little, or I should say less risk of falling over, so you can close your eyes if you want to. You can work your poses from the inside, from the space around you, through your skin to your muscles and your bones. And then you can also work them from the inside out, from the bones back out through the skin to the space around you. Unwind and come on back to center. Swing your legs around through, and let's head to the second side as promised. Top leg over bottom leg. Let the hips tilt a little bit. If the top sitting bone unplugs, that's totally legal. And then just walk yourself into a nice open rotation in the opposite direction. Heart going away from feet, looking the opposite direction of the feet. So do create maybe initially the form and shape of your pose from the outside, right? We do practice to align our skin and our bones, maximize the space of our joints, strengthen and stretch our muscles, and enhance the tolerance of our nervous system. And there is a structural or physical body element to that. And then as you work that, let the gaze soften. Tell your brain you're going to be here for a few more breaths and it's totally okay. And then come to your breath and work your pose with equal energy, effectiveness, and excitement from the inside using your breath. And then unwind and come on back to center. All right. I'm just going to turn myself sideways for this view. You can arrange yourself however you want with your feet in front of you, feet about hips distance apart. Right. Take your hands a little wider than hip distance, slightly behind your hips, and you can point your fingertips forward or turned out, whatever feels better. Make a high quality connection between your hands and the floor, your feet and the floor, and then roll the shoulders down and back and create a little bit of a cobra pose by drawing your shoulder blades in towards your spine, wrapping your armpits towards the back of your body more, moving the head of the arm bones back to lift up through the sternum and broaden through the lines of the collarbones. Just like we did in those very first bridge poses at the beginning, lift the chest, hold the head high, and from the space of the heart, lift everything else up, working hips towards alignment with the heart. Make sure as we hold that you feel your big toe mounds, pinky toe mounds, and heel dots, index finger mounds, thumb mounds, pinky finger mounds, and outer heels of the hands. Contract the muscles on the back of your body, pushing down into the earth to brighten and broaden across the front of the body into the thighs, hips, stomach, the abdomen, across the chest, the fronts of the shoulders. Take a couple more breaths as you can. And then slowly exit out. Try to exit purposefully instead of running away from the pose as you come on back down to sitting. Good. And from your sitting position, take a moment to let that last asana settle into place. Legs out. Arrange your sitting bones so that you're comfortable on the floor, spine tall, head high, Dandasana. And then taking one leg, we're going to do a deeper twist this time. Bend in your choice leg. You can keep the other one long or flip it under later if you'd like. Give it a crisscross over. Right. And let's start first through just kind of the energy of rolling the thigh in and up. Right. So imagine the top knee is like a game show buzzer. Use that to help lift the spine up. Hold the head high. And start first by just holding the top knee in place. So as this top thigh kind of tries to roll in energetically towards the midline of your body, lift your low back in and up to meet it. And take a few breaths along this outer line of the leg. From the outer knee to the outer hip, across the glutes, into the deep low belly on the backside. And then keep as much of the proximity between the thigh and the navel as you're able to. So you might need to move some organs, some muscles, and some skin around. Opposite arm's gonna lift, so we're gonna turn and twist in towards the bent knee. As you come around, hug the shin, hook the elbow, and take your free arm behind you as a second spine of support. As you enter your twist, move the abdomen faster than your chest, and your chest faster than your head. And then let your neck, let your head, and let your face fill in the rest of the twist. Right? So visualize your spine like a spiral staircase. Right? Go vertebra by vertebra, up each step. Take a few breaths in and out here. As you hold the duration of the twist, let it grow, let it pulse, let it shake, let it wiggle to the rhythm of the inflows and outflows of your breath. As we take a couple more breaths here, bring your attention from your diaphragm, your ribs towards the top. This is where we'll see if we can get a little bit more action here. So the one shoulder blade of your free arm is going to slide back more. The shoulder blade of the hugging arm is going to wrap forward more. And instead of overexerting the low deep back, see if you can go more through the ribs and a little bit brighter through the collarbones. And then from the top of the head, walk down the spiral staircase, millimeter by millimeter. Savor the sensations of unwinding, right? You're going to get to the second side. Don't worry about it. Enjoy the unwinding of the first side first. Dandasana, both legs out. Then when you're ready, second leg, bring it up and in. Crisscross it over. Again, embrace the asymmetries you might experience from one side to the other as you take this lifted leg and work on rolling it energetically in towards the midline, right? Bringing the thigh bone, kneecap up towards vertical, holding it in place. And then a couple of breaths from the outer knee, lengthen down the outer thigh to the outer hip, across the glute to the deep low belly on the back side. Lift your low back in and up, heart up, head high. The human body is not symmetric, so embrace the asymmetry from one side to the other. You know, we can let go of our attachment to the outcome of what we're trying to do, but remember, it's more of the, I'll use the word attachment to the process, attachment to the engagement, some attachment to the effort, for the doing for the sake of doing. A few more breaths. If we've got proper alignment of effort, engagement, excitement, intention, the outer form and the outcome is going to be exactly what it needs to be and exactly what it should be. And then adding back arm, hook the elbow or hug. Remember to move through the abdomen faster than the chest, chest faster than the shoulders, shoulders faster than the neck, head and face last as you come into your twisting position. And as we work to the rhythm of the inflows and the outflows of the breath on the second side, since I now have my back to you, I can point things out maybe a little bit differently with my words and on my body than I could a moment ago. As you bring your attention from the diaphragm into the ribs, start with the bottom ribs and wrap them towards the bent front leg. This hugging shoulder blade moves around towards the thigh, while the shoulder blade of the free or the support arm moves in towards the spine more. And use that scapular movement to help brighten and broaden the collarbones more. Take another breath or two here for yourself. And in fact, perhaps prepare yourself right now to savor the unwinding. Walk down the spiral staircase, vertebra by vertebra, millimeter by millimeter. No hurry at all to return to center, where we'll meet with both legs straight, Dandasana. Our final pose from sitting will be seated forward fold, or Paschimottanasana. So if you'd like to have your strap or something available and ready for you, feel free to. Otherwise, you don't need it at all. But as we come towards our sitting position, make yourself comfortable through the sitting bones, through the back side of the body, lift up nice and tall. Our component elements start with hinging at the hips, right at your thigh creases. Create some hollowing in the belly, like you're trying to go over a bowling ball. Hinge at the thigh creases by reaching your navel towards your kneecaps as far as you can first, right? Hands can attach to your body, or here's where you could take your strap around your heels and give yourself some resistance. And then when you've hinged as far as you can with your heart open and your head high, elongate your spine more. Maximize the distance from your hips to your armpits. And then add some softening, some folding, some rounding from the upper back to open the nape of the neck. Reach out and lengthen from the crown of the head beyond the feet. And take several breaths here to actively draw yourself into the comfort of your own company. To open, brighten, and expand the back side of your body into everything that's around you. So from the soles of your feet around the skin of the heels, up the length of the backs of the calves to the backs of the knees. Backs of the knees through the backs of the thighs, across and around the skin of the buttocks and the outer hips. Into the low back, mid back, tickling its way up the ribs to the shoulder blades, to the nape of the neck, the back of the skull, top of the skull, round to the very top. Take a few more breaths here. And then very slowly raise the head, lift the chest, rebuild. Come on up to sitting position. And then bring yourself into any comfortable sitting position. After quite a bit of standing work today, what we'll finish with is about 1 minute to just sit and to breathe. I think there's something so nourishing, so vital, and so important to remembering that, being able to ramp up, to be strong, to be active, has its potency in our ability to tamp down, to be quiet, to be still. And so one skill is trained the same way that every other skill is. And so after some activity, let's begin the process of unwinding. So I'll guide us through that. I'll keep track of time for you. And then I'll take us or offer us the opportunity to go to the floor, where we will time through a full 5-minute Shavasana. It's usually my preference to offer Shavasanas with their full timed duration if I can in videos, because I've found in myself and feedback from students that for better or worse, sometimes when Shavasana is optional or not timed out for us, it's really easy to get up and head into other things, perhaps a little prematurely. So I will time a full 5 minutes for us. If you'd like to join and come all the way through to the end of practice, know that I'll keep track of that time for us. So as you come into a comfortable sitting position, it might be sitting on your blanket, on a block, on your towel, on something else entirely. Any sitting position is going to be fine, such that you can recreate the S-shaped, neutral, natural curves of your spine so that the spine is tall and the head is high. As you create your position, bring your ears over your shoulders and your shoulders over your hips. Soften the gaze, close the eyes, or do whatever's most comfortable to allow you to practice being still for 1 minute. So take care of your fidgets, your wiggles. Bring your attention to your breath. And just start the process of observing, absorbing, and integrating here as you sit, as you breathe, as you feel, with with nothing else necessary of you right now except to just be in this place, in this moment, as the wholeness and as the completeness that you are. And take a moment here yet to ask your body, ask your mind, ask your space and place of energy what else might be necessary of you before heading to a few moments of Shavasana, if there's any cravings yet to be satisfied. As you satisfy any of those cravings of wiggles, shakes, finishing yoga poses that are gentle in nature, eventually make your way into a comfortable position that you'd like to use for your final minutes of final relaxation or Shavasana. It might be sitting. It might be coming onto your back, coming onto your side, adding anything else that makes you feel fairly comfortable. And as I mentioned, I'll make sure to return us back to the activities of the rest of our day in a couple of minutes. So please do feel free to let the ground do more of the work of holding you up. Let gravity do more of the work of holding you in place. So that you can let go of a little bit of the control over the body and over the breath. Allow the lines of your shape to blur a bit more with the space around you. And give yourself these minutes to integrate by allowing that which is useful and of service to you to seep deeply inside, to take up residency for a while. And to let anything that might not be of service anymore be free to move along. very sweetly and slowly start to bring your attention back to your body, your breath, the space around you. The shape of the outer form of your body, the wholeness, the completeness that is you at this moment. And actually, one of the great luxuries you have practicing at home right now is that if you don't want to get up right now, you don't have to. But if you are ready, start to bring movement into your body in any way that feels good. Eventually bending in the knees, rolling to one side to pause there. Taking a moment here to please thank yourself at least as much as I thank each of you for very intentionally carving out this time in your day today. For the health of your body, the health of your mind, everything that connects and surrounds them. And if you're laying down, return to a seated position as you feel ready, where we'll all meet with our spine tall, head high. Finishing with final nice full breath in and out. Turn the palms up and the biceps out just a little bit. Inhaling to sweep the arms out and wide. Meeting the palms overhead to draw the hands down, to perhaps rest with thumb knuckles at the sternum, hands at the chest, or hands in your lap if that's most comfortable for you. At any rate, bring your attention to the base of the heart, the center of the chest. It is in this space where each of our individual lights reside, and the common light that joins us all. And may each of us continue to be the brightest lights possible for the benefit of ourselves, as well as everyone and everything else around us. To each of you I bow. Namaste and Om. Thank you so much for joining me for practice today, for putting up with hearing my breathing, my hard S's, because I know they're there. Please let us know any questions, comments, concerns you might have for me online, and maybe, just maybe, we'll look forward to doing it again sometime soon. Have a great rest of your day until I see you again. Thanks so much. Goodbye.